All right, welcome back to the Neutral Zone. I'm your host, Danny Lacrosse, and alongside is the one and only James Quinn and Mike Payne. Welcome back, guys. We are just beyond the trade deadline, more than halfway through the season. Playoffs are less than a month away. Get excited. Fresh new start after the regular season. But let's get right into it. Boston Bruins, 42 wins, 19 losses. OT losses and shootout are 9. 19-point streak after the last loss was in January, but this past week it was a little bit of a struggle against the Pittsburgh Penguins. And I forget who they played Tuesday night. I was asleep. But let's get right into it. That was terrible on me. So right now in the Atlantic Division, Lightning's the number 1, Bruins number 2, Toronto in that 3 spot. In the Central, the Jets 2, Nashville Jets 1, Nashville 2, Blues 3. On the Metro, we got the Caps, the Islanders, and the Penguins. In the Pacific, we got the Sharks, the Flames, and the Knights. And in our wild card spot, we got Hurricanes at 1, Blue Jackets 2, Canadians. Blue Jackets are tied with the Canadians in that spot. And then the West, the Stars, the Coyotes, Wilds, and Black Avalanches, and the Blackhawks are just 4 points away, I believe you said. So, guys, take the floor on the standings right now, and what are we looking at coming into the playoffs?
Yeah, well, I think it's really getting narrowed down now. You see who's gonna compete and who's not gonna compete. Real tight with the Bruins and Toronto right now, so separated by 4 points. Same amount of games left. Bruins dropped Tuesday night to Columbus.
That's who it was, yep.
Yep. A valid try to come back, but once you got down 5-1, it was real tough. They brought it back to 5-4, gave up a late goal and an empty netter that polished it off. And Toronto played last night. They played the Blackhawks. They also gave it one hell of a run with a comeback. They were up 4-0 at the end of the first. Blackhawks ended up winning that game 5-4, but I know Toronto got 3 goals late and we're really challenging them at the end. So it's actually being really enjoyable to watch. It's really taking a toll on my life.
Disappointing start, absolutely, for the Bruins on Tuesday. You dig yourself into a 4-goal deficit halfway through the game. It's difficult to come back. It was good to see some response and some fight out of the team, but they gotta start better. If I was Cassidy, this is one of the few coaching questions I have for him. I would have probably pulled Tuukka Rask after the 3rd goal in the first period, just to kind of try to light a fire under that team, rather than dig yourself into that deeper hole. Again, I'm playing Monday morning quarterback here. I think it's very important, though, for the Bruins to make sure they maintain that lead on Toronto. The Bruins haven't played Toronto since Toronto's added Jake Muzzin. That D-core is going to be a little bit better when you add a guy like of Muzzin's caliber, good stay-at-home defenseman. He can play a little bit of power play. So it'll be interesting to see because they're going to roll 3 or 4 good lines at you, 3 that can score for sure. So if you're playing at home ice for 4 out of those 7 games, I think that's that definitely tips in the Bruins' favor moving forward. But if you're going to go to Toronto for 4, I think that might bring them into a spot of trouble.
So do we see a repeat in the first round of the playoffs, like last year, we're playing the Toronto in the first round?
I think so, absolutely. I think it's destined to be. I think it's destined to be Boston and Toronto in that first game. I don't really agree with how the playoffs set up now, because now it's like Toronto or Boston are out in the first round, right? And those are two of the top 3 teams in the NHL. I mean, debatable. But yeah, I think it's destined to be. I think it's going to be a great playoff series. I think what's going to decide it is the home ice. I really hope the Bruins get it.
Yeah.
But just going back to like the Bruins, when they went on that 19-game point streak, that was incredible. I mean, they went 6-0 at home for a 6-game home stretch. They found ways to win, which is a sign of a good team. Even nights when they didn't really have their best game against Carolina, they started out slow again. Quinn touched on it. They've had slow starts, and now it's kind of catching up to them here. But good teams find a way to win. I like the attempt at coming back Tuesday night against Columbus. At least they didn't roll over and die. McAvoy got him going with a fight. So yeah, that's
I believe the NHL Network said the other day that it's a 90 and change % chance that the Bruins and the Maple Leafs will be playing in the first round again. Back to the playoff format, though. Under the old format, the Bruins and the Maple Leafs would actually still be playing each other in the first round. They would be the 4 and 5 seed if you had a 8-team bracket.
Okay.
Maybe, I don't know, they've talked about this with the NBA, like seeding them 1 through 16. I'm not particularly a fan. I like seeing East meet West in the finals. I think branching out to different parts of
Makes
the
sense.
continent North America is better for the sport rather than having, per se, like as much as I would love it, like a Bruins-Rangers final, like someday in the future. Like, I think it's better, if you had like the Bruins and the Oilers, like you did in '88 and '90, things like that. So, the playoff format is what it is. Either way, you're going to have to beat the best teams if you want to win the Stanley Cup. So that's part of it.
Absolutely. So moving on, we'll get back to playoffs and predictions shortly. But recently last that we talked, we had a trade deadline and we didn't get to chat about that. But we got two new players. Charlie Coyle in exchange for Ryan Donato and a contentional draft pick, the 5th round, and then Marcus Johansson in exchange for 2020 and 2019 draft picks. Thoughts on these pickups? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Are you neutral?
Who should we start with?
You want to start with Coyle?
Coyle. My thing with Coyle is, like Coyle, local kid. I want more production out of him right now, though. He's got 1 assist in 9 games played. He's gotten some opportunities on the power play. Last game against Columbus, I slotted him in that right wing for a little bit with Krejci. The third line has been their Achilles heel all season, so I would like to see him bring a little bit of more offense to that group.
Okay.
But right now, I agree with the trade. I think we still need to sit on it a little bit longer. They're both actually under contract next year with the team, so I think we can evaluate maybe at the end of this season or into next.
I love the trade. I'm a big fan of it.
But you were a Donato fan.
I like Donato too.
Okay.
But I think Coyle gives them more of what they need. I think he brings a possession game. I'm not going to overvalue him and say, oh yeah, well I'm upset because he doesn't have 5 goals already. I watch him and he's a strong body on the puck. He wins battles. He makes passes. He makes plays. He's not going to light it up goal scoring, but he does have he has good senses where
he's a good team player.
Yeah, well, he gets a lot of assists, and I think he can definitely contribute offensively. We haven't seen it yet. I like to see the team get fully healthy and then really give him a good evaluation then. Like when Pasternak and Johansson come back, if Johansson should fall to his line or Heinen should fall to his line, I'd like to see what that brings. So yeah, I'm not going to overvalue Charlie Coyle. It stinks that we gave up on a 21-year-old who could score the puck.
Yeah.
That was one of his strong suits. But I think with Coyle, you get a guy that plays 200 feet, plays a strong game. And yes, while Donato has upside, Coyle still has upside at 26. So I'm a big fan of the trade.
I'd like to see Bruce Cassidy tap into that offense that Charlie Coyle has shown in the past. One season he scored 21 goals, and then the next season he had 56 points in a full season. So there's definitely some offensive skill there. But right now, again, I still think it's too early to evaluate the trade. Donato's got 9 points at 10 games. It's really good, and the Wild are one point out of a playoff spot, so they're still hanging in there despite being sellers at the deadline.
Fighting for that spot. What about Marcus Johansson from New Jersey?
Yeah, I like this move. He was actually on a hot streak when they acquired him, so they struck while the frying pan was hot. I think he had 11 points in his last 11 games with New Jersey before the transaction. I mean, I was at that Carolina game, saw him take a hit. It wasn't a dirty hit. It was a good, hard hit. Bigger guy hitting a smaller guy. He got the worst end of it. So I'd like to see when he comes back what it really looks like. Forget who they were playing, but one of his first points was a nice passing play between him, Pasternak, and DeBrusk. He got the puck, gave it over to Krejci. Krejci slid it over to DeBrusk. It was beautiful. Wide open net. So, yeah, I'm really interested to see. I think he's got good wheels, so I think he makes things happen. He opens things up a little bit. He can pass the puck for sure. So, I'm also interested to see where he slots back in when he comes back.
Yep.
But yeah, overall good. They gave up a second and a fourth. Second this year.
Yep.
Fourth in 2020.
Yep.
Yeah, that's all right. I mean, everyone wanted the Mark Stones, but when you look at what they gave up Eric Brandstrom, who's probably one of the best upcoming defensemen. For the Bruins, that's probably equivalent to even more than Urho Vakanainen. It's probably equivalent to a Charlie McAvoy, and were you really willing to give that up? So you look at it and you say, well, we didn't want to give up McAvoy, and that was the equal value. So you can live with that, in my opinion.
Yeah. I'm glad they didn't overpay the deadline, because I even think if they totally mortgage the future and you bring in Panarin and Stone, do you think that gives you more talent in Tampa Bay even still?
No.
I mean, Tampa Bay is something special. They've done a really great job with that organization. They had some rough years.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've bounced back, especially in the last 5. So, I'm glad, the Bruins are looking at the long-term picture. Unfortunately, they have Bergeron, Marchand, and an aging Chara, to work with that, you would like to see win again and like to get that chance and have given so much to the city and this organization. So that part's a little bit disappointing. But, I think the future is definitely bright.
Right. It's a tight window, but at the same time,
Yeah.
I was kind of mad at the time that they didn't really capitalize on this window because I feel like they owe it to Chara and Bergeron, who have given so much.
Yeah.
You don't know how many more years you're going to get out of them. Even David Krejci, look at David Krejci's year, having an unbelievable year. Probably the best hockey I've seen him play in a few years. So you really would like to bring in a top-end talent like that to say, all right, well, look at how well we're playing right now. We might not get this chance again. Who knows when we're going to be in this situation again.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was looking at some of the prices, and I'm all right with what they did. They balanced out their third line. DeBrusque got hot, which I didn't see coming before the deadline. So
DeBrusque and is it Krejci? They both have chemistry on the ice.
Yeah, they've been playing really good together. Before DeBrusque got hurt, I mean, he scored. He had like 7 and 7 or something like that. I want to say. So yeah, it was bad timing for that injury because he was just getting hot. So we'll see what happens when he gets back.
I will say, going back to the Johansson hit, Ferland in the offseason, bring him in.
Yeah.
20-goal scorer, he can fight. He's a big body. He'd actually be really good in this city.
Sorry to interrupt you, but one thing, when I was watching that Columbus game, that Josh Anderson kid, I would love to see that.
Oh,
kid
he flies at 230.
That kid, a third-line center for the Bruins, I would be drooling over.
No. You know what where he would slot in? You slot in that second line with DeBrusque and Krejci.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I think he's got more speed than Nathan Horton, but he's kind of he can use that
like
size.
The cone
that game opened my eyes to that kid's speed. I knew he was a big body out there. I knew he had a few talks, but when he ever got the puck and just was buzzing through the neutral zone, I was like, wow, this kid motors and he's a big body.
Nobody wants to get in front of that train.
No, everyone's afraid of it.
I will say, you're not going to believe this. I'm actually glad they didn't trade Torrey Kruger, move him at the deadline. I know the defense is suspect and he's hurt right now, but he is one of your biggest offensive contributors. If he played a full season, he'd be right at high 60s, low 70s in total points as a defenseman. That's really good. With the trouble they've had with the second line until right before DeBrusque hit that hot streak, he was just indispensable to that offense. He was awesome.
So I'll touch on Torrey Krug real quick. So I had this conversation with Willie Meach today, big viewer of the show.
Shout out to Meach,
and
our number one fan.
So we both actually kind of were thinking that Krug is not hurt, and if he plays Saturday, that it was just an indication that he was just sat.
-8 in his last 2 games.
Yeah, he was a -4 in Columbus. You could just see, there was one where they gave up the 5th goal, and they were having problems with their changes all night. But they panned to Cassidy on the bench, and I feel like he was feeding into Krug because it was just a horrible change. And when he changed, Anderson came flying down the middle. He didn't score that one, but he left a rebound, and someone banged it in. But, Torrey Krug's had a real tough time in his own end. I mean, I love the offense. I hate to take it away. I hate to take away from the power play, which is giving up a bunch of shorthanded goals, but that's a risk you take when you put a forward on D. But, he's a defenseman. So, number one, he's a defenseman before we even talk about what he brings offensively, which we all know is fantastic. He can break the puck on himself, all that. But if you can't play defense first, then it's a bit of a problem. And
Yeah.
It's also a hit when the game before, too. You lose Grzelcyk and Miller's been out for a little bit. I mean, those are two. Grzelcyk obviously has some offensive flair to his game, but he's much better than Torrey Krug in his own zone, despite similar vitals as far as size. And then Kevin Miller's just a beast. You just do not want to look over my shoulder and see him coming in the corner.
Exactly. You miss his physical presence and you miss his game, but. Connor Clifton coming up tonight for Torrey Krug. I guess since he's been back down in the minors, people have said he's been the best defenseman down there. I guess he's been playing really, really well, really good hockey. So I'm really interested to see what he looks like tonight in Winnipeg.
He has the test to see if he can play NHL level.
Yeah, he's been up this year, so he'll get another look. I thought he did all right when he was up here, but I guess ever since he went back down, he's been playing really well. So I'm excited to see what he's got again.
A little motivation to get you going.
Fox Spezza, too.
Remember he did. In Dallas that night when Bergeron went down, and they didn't have anybody to answer the bell, and even Krug was fighting in that game too. So,
all right. Well, moving on. I'm neutral with the trade deadline situation. I get nervous in the playoffs just in case these players don't perform in the playoffs, because that's the main reason why you pick these guys up. I hopefully Charlie Coyle when Johansson comes back, that they bring some points and be a playmaker in the playoffs and show us that they want to be here for that rental time and maybe help us win a cup. But just I can't look back to last year with Nash getting injured and just not performing. But new season, new playoff season, so you got to move on and see if this is a good pickup and they help us in the playoff. But I'm not against it right now, so I'm neutral. But anyways, moving on. That was just my personal thoughts on the trade deadline. And right now, I like what I see out of Charlie Coyle. I didn't get much to see on Marcus just because he's injured. But right now, we had Pasternak was on that, making his way up to the 40 goals, but he's injured with that thumb.
Damn shame.
Ruined my prediction. Next year.
But
don't worry, I'll say he's going to score 40 goals again.
He would have got 50 if he get hurt, I think. But.
What was this? What, did he fall getting an Uber or something?
Yeah, I don't know if he was on his way to an Uber or he was waiting for an Uber.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
But, hopefully he comes back soon. I think he's coming back within a week or so. I know he's been skating and
no rush. If you have to sit him all the way to the playoffs, I mean I wouldn't like the rust, but at the same time,
No, I know.
I wouldn't risk him being re-injured to get home ice at the same time. I know I talked about how important that is, but I think him being on the ice makes a world of difference. I mean, we haven't seen this lineup put together yet.
I totally agree, and he's 21 years old, so if you rush it back and it alters his career,
No,
I don't know how you're gonna live with yourself, even if you don't get home ice and I don't know. He's got a bright future.
Pasternak's becoming one of my favorite players. I don't know if you guys listened to the episode when he got interviewed with the Spit and Chiclet guys. He's a funny dude.
He is funny. He's very subtle.
Plays Fortnite, goes out dancing.
Yeah.
He likes to dance.
Yeah, he just wants to be one of the boys.
Oh, yeah. Anyways, so behind Pasternak, just by one goal, you got Brad Marchand with 30 goals, and then behind him is Patrice Bergeron, and then Krejci having a hell of a season. Thoughts on these players, Marchand, Bergeron, Krejci? I know we discussed Krejci a little bit, but anything on Brad Marchand or Bergeron?
Yeah, on Brad Marchand, that's 4 straight years with 30 goals. I don't know where he ranks on the Bruins. He's right up there with one of the only Bruins to do that. So he's got 85 points. He's actually 1 point away from his career high. So that could happen tonight in Winnipeg. I don't know.
Suspension has gone down too.
Yeah. With David Krejci, 19 goals but 41 assists. I mean, the guy, he's playing like I said earlier, like I haven't seen him play this well since early, like a while ago, early in his career. And I just hope he can keep it going because, I mean, he drives that second line, and where secondary scoring is so needed, where you got that really, really good first line, if if it stays intact when Pasternak gets back, if he can drive his own line and DeBrusque keeps going, you got 2 really strong lines, and you got a 4th line that absolutely grinds teams down. So I like it.
Yeah, so Marchand he's missed 1 game this season. He'll play 81 this year, hopefully, as long as there are no injuries. He's projected to have over 99 points. It's like 99.7. Obviously, it's going to be a whole number, but I mean that'd be very, very impressive.
100 points would be nice.
Yeah, it'd be absolutely awesome for him. Bergeron, I think he should win the Selke again. I think if he hadn't gotten injured himself, he'd actually be in the talk for MVP. He's had quite the year himself, and then Krejci, he's definitely finding ways to contribute. It's awesome, and he's had musical chairs on his wings, and now DeBrusque is down now, but he's still finding ways to be productive, and he's starting to shoot the puck more too. I think even with Pasternak being out, I think he's been very good in that power play.
He has
kind
been,
of jumping on that half wall spot.
All the credit to him to fill in when Pasternak goes down on that half wall on that side opposite Marchand, where Pasternak used to be. It's not as hard of a shot as Pasternak, but he's getting the job done.
Yeah.
And like you said, the musical chairs on his lines. I mean, he's been carrying Saralik, Kuhlman.
He's being the anchor of that line.
DeBrusque's been there, but DeBrusque went through kind of a slump. So I mean, all the credit to him for doing what he's doing right now with what he's been given.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So getting back to a little bit of a playoff discussion. This is just a thought that I was thinking of. So unfortunately last year we got out in the second round, and just listening through fans in the media, Brad Marchand not being the performance in the playoff run last year. Do you see a little bit of a change this year? I know playoffs hasn't even started yet, but do you see a bit of more of a better player than he was the past season?
Yeah, well, last playoffs he was playing with a groin. He had to have groin surgery, I think, after that when the season was done. So we found out he had an injury. He was playing through an injury. That being said, he's going to take a lot of criticism for his history. We all know what it is. I mean, he was licking guys last year in the playoffs. Stupid move, but that's just kind of the role he plays, and he's inhabited in himself as the agitator, and he's very productive, obviously. But yeah, I mean, I get mad at him sometimes. I'll be watching a game and he'll give up on something in his own end or something like that. It's just who he is. I'm not gonna 85 points. What am I gonna do? I'm not gonna rip the guy. I mean, look at the weapon he is.
Yeah,
look at what he does with Bergeron.
I mean, he has come a long way since.
He plays penalty kill. He plays power play.
Yeah.
Him and Bergeron on the penalty kill is probably the best thing in the best duo in the NHL. I mean, look at all the shorthanded goals they get. So, I'm not gonna critique his game.
I think if you're critical of his production in the playoffs last year, I don't know what planet you're living on. He had 17 points in 12 playoff games last year. It's almost a point and a half in the toughest part of the NHL season, and he did it with a groin injury. Does not bother me at all. He needs to just stay out of the box. He's got to stop licking people, things like that. Yeah. And even if he takes a match penalty, how many guys in the NHL are at his caliber? Like that's helping the other team out, unless he's getting matched out with Stamkos or Kucherov's going off with him, or Victor Hedman or somebody when they play Tampa, or an Austin Matthews, or John Tavares. Like, this is the caliber of player he is. If Nazem Kadri, he's a rat too. He's a good player, but it's even if they get matched up on a penalty, the Bruins are losing that are taking the brunt of that loss. Because Marchand's skill is elite. He is one of the best players in the NHL.
Yeah, I totally agree with that comment. He's got to play smart, and I think he has done that in cases where some guy will just square up with him and he'll just chirp him and be like, "Yeah, buddy, I'm a 30-goal scorer in this league. What are you? I'm a 20-minute a night player. You're a 12. I'm not matching with you." So he does know, but sometimes he lets his frustration get the best of him. So with his production, you hit the nail on the head. I have no complaints there. I don't know if we were talking about his behavior. His behavior is what it is.
I just remember last year hearing it on the radio. I just wanted your guys' opinions because
The people that call it a 98.5 have no idea. They're the people that just scream shoot on the power play when there's three guys in front of them and they're on the half wall. It's like, no. They have an idea what they're doing.
Got to get it through the first person.
Yes. Oh, my God. You don't just take the first shot you take, like through a guy. You're trying to find your opportunity and, trying to make the goalie move. If a goalie can square up to a shot, doesn't matter how hard it is, he's going to probably stop it if there's no screen or the puck's not going across the crease or across the zone or anything.
I've yet to see a puck rip through someone's chest. I will be amazed the day it happens, though.
All right.
I'm sorry, just to bring up 2013, actually. Patrick Kane was mic'd up and Marchand hadn't come into his own yet. Like, he was a good player, but he wasn't at the level he is now. And Marchand asked Patrick Kane if he wanted to go, and Patrick Kane goes, pretty bad trade-off, huh?
Yeah.
Now it's a pretty even trade-off, but at the time, like, I like Kane's attitude there. You know what? I'm gonna go out here and score a goal, and you know what? He won playoff MVP that year.
Yeah.
So true.
I want to do picks, and then I just want to bring up your quick thoughts on Tavares coming home to the Coliseum and just getting beefed on by the New York Islanders fans because they had high hopes on this guy for captain and just being the future of the New York Islanders. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Real quick on that. Boo him, yell at him, swear at him. Don't talk about his family or anything. Don't throw anything at the ice at him. Like, you know what? That's part of sports. You boo the guy if he used to play for you and he left in free agency. That's fine. That's sports.
Right.
You got to keep in mind you're dealing with New Yorkers when we do this, but
poor New York is just in a slump right now.
I totally agree. You can boo them. I don't know what conversations were said. I guess the frustration is, well, if you knew you were leaving, why didn't you tell us sooner so we could get something for you? I guess that's kind of where it stems from. He didn't want to be here. He wanted to go to his hometown team.
Which is understandable.
Understandable.
Yes.
Totally understandable. So, boo him. Do whatever you have to. Don't throw things at him. Don't talk about the guy's family.
Yeah.
But yeah, the booing totally acceptable, but anything other than that is just over the line. I mean, the guy left. He was a free agent. He had a decision. He made his decision.
Oh, absolutely.
It is what it is.
Yeah. All right, so moving on. Let's get to some playoff predictions. I know it's not playoffs yet, but I want to do early predictions. You guys can decide who has the floor first.
I'm going to stick with my pick. I said in the first episode, I got Winnipeg versus Tampa in the finals, Winnipeg winning. Right now, that'd be a big upset, but I'm going to stick with the Jets.
I just want to say earlier, previous episodes, I said that the Carolina Hurricanes were going to make the playoffs. I just want people to say that. When you asked for like a wild card or like a dark horse coming out, I did say that. So kudos to me. And I'm going to say the Bruins. I don't know who's going to get hot right now. Obviously, Winnipeg's a wagon. You already took them. I'll say San Jose. I'll say Bruins, San Jose.
I will say betting against Marc-Andre Fleury in the playoffs after last year, it might be a bad move. 3 years ago, it would have been absolutely.
The guy's nice. And he's up there in age, too.
Yeah,
he could probably play another.
Yeah, he just signed a contract extension.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
He's going to play into his 40s. Definitely.
Yeah,
I don't know how long that contract is. I think he's like 38, maybe, I want to say.
No, he's an 03 draft, right? Yeah, he's 34.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm way off. I thought he was.
I think he's an 85 birthday.
That's my fault.
I honestly want Thornton just to get a cup. I really want him to get a cup. Back in the early 2000s, late 90s. He was a
2005. I was homesick from school that day.
I think he won the High Trophy the same year.
Yeah, he's the only player to ever win MVP that got traded during the season.
Do you remember the pennies on the dollar? I think it was
Sturm.
Brad Stewart, Sturm,
Primo.
Keith Primo. Oh, Wayne Primo.
Yeah.
Wayne Primo.
Wayne, I think.
Scored that unbelievable goal against Philadelphia in Philadelphia. That was the highlight of it. Sturm was a good player. Sturm ended up being a good player.
I'm going to go a little different route. I'm going to just say Tampa Bay and San Jose.
Nice.
Final two. Guys, it's been another episode. Any final thoughts before we head out?
Go Bruins. Let's go.
Go Bruins, yeah.
Sun's out when I came here. I'm starting to feel that playoff feel again.
Playoff vibe, yeah.
Want to go to the Garden in the shorts.
Yeah.
Really live it up. This is a good time of the year.
Let's go, Quinny. Do we have any other bets we can do to get another playoff?
I just want to wish good luck to UMass Amherst, number 1 seed in Hockey East.
All right,
good luck, boys.
Playing UNH this weekend in a best of 3, and then hopefully we'll be attending Hockey's semis in the finals the weekend after.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, that does it for this episode of the Neutral Zone. Have a wicked awesome week, wicked awesome weekend. Go Bruins. Sox are just around the corner. And go Celtics. Go Bruins, though.
Black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow. Yeah, my hat's blue and red, but my jersey's all black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow. I'm from a town where it's sports over everything. Black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow. Red Sox all summer, but the winter it's black and yellow.